Hi guys, welcome back to the Nika Fit podcast. So I am your host Katie, and today we are bringing you just a short and sweet little podcast to give you guys a little bit of advice, some little tips and tricks for starting back in the gym this week. So first of all, welcome back. I hope you guys have enjoyed your first week and your bodies are not too sore. I don't know about you guys, but I have absolutely loved being back. It is like the endorphins I have felt all this week, just seeing everybody's faces in person and just getting to catch up with everyone. It's just been so good. So I look forward to catching up with any of you that I haven't yet got to see. So first of all, we're just going to talk about training, the training itself. And I guess the main thing is to just kind of take it easy. I know the inclination after so long of being out of the gym is to just dive in head first. And that can obviously cause us to have to stop a little bit sooner. So I would just recommend just committing to those 3 personal trainings. Obviously you can do more, there's no reason not to jump into the group fitness and the glute squad and all those kind of classes, but just try to commit to those 3. Think about your month in advance, just think about like where you're going to fit these into your week and how you want your kind of next 4 weeks to look like, so that you can really make them a priority again, because I think having the online option and being at home, it's a little bit easier to be like, oh, there's a class in 5 minutes, maybe I'll just jump into that. Whereas with the gym, there's obviously a little bit of organisation. You might have kids, you might have a job that you can't just, hop out of the room and jump back in after your workout. So just think about what you're doing, kind of book them in, make them a really big priority, and then get them booked in on the app so that you secure your spot. And it's just really nice to think ahead, and that way you'll be a little bit more consistent with your training sessions over the next month. So use your tracking app as well. So your Trainerize app, use it to log your workouts. I know a lot of you have been using it the whole time, but if you haven't, I would really encourage you just trying that out now, using the app to log the workouts, to log the weights you've been using in your workouts, and just try stay consistent with that, because it really does help keep you on track. It also helps you to keep track of your progression as the weeks go by, which is a really nice little tool for kind of, just keeping you focused and keeping you kind of motivated. Obviously we will be doing that as well in the gym, but it's just a nice way to gauge progress. And the app also gives you a little thumbs up, and it tells you when you've got a little personal best, so it's always a nice little pat on the back from your app as well as your trainers. So as well as the training, I know a lot of you are going to be thinking about food and trying to get your diet in order again, and a lot of the clients that I've been speaking to over the last week or 2 have kind of been like, oh my god, I really just let it all go before I rejoined. And if that's the case for you, then that's fine. But my main advice is try not jump in head first. Everybody wants to jump straight into like a calorie deficit and pull back all the bowl food and quit drinking and all these things. And that's great, and it's good to kind of go for it as much as you can. But just take the pressure off a little bit. Try not do too much too soon. And my advice is to track maintenance. So work out your maintenance. If you can't do that, just come over to one of the coaches or book in for a strategy session with us and we will do that for you. But the best thing to do is just try track maintenance for the first 2 weeks. Because if you have, for example, been eating whatever, or like not as healthy food, or you've been eating a little bit higher than you usually would, even just getting back to maintenance alone is going to give you like a real clear out of the system. It's also going to help you kind of reset from those water fluctuations, and a lot of the time it can actually make us start losing a little bit to begin with, because if you're coming out of that surplus into maintenance, your body's going to recognize that. And then also just track for 14 days. So we all know how hard it is to track consistently, and tracking is easy, but when you have to do it 7 days in a row, 14 days in a row, and tracking every meal, that's when we can start to kind of miss meals or say, oops, I kind of went over there, and we're just not going to put that in. So my advice would be to try not worry too much about the number you're hitting, but just to try get back into tracking consistently. And if you have been tracking the whole time, just see, can you do a 14-day solid data track, tracking the morning weight every morning, tracking the calories every morning, and just seeing, can you find where you're at. So if you track week 1, week 2, you'll be able to see what your average calories were over those 2 weeks. And if you track your morning weight every morning for 14 days, you'll also be able to check what the difference is in the average weight between week 1 and week 2. And what that'll mean then is you'll know, based on the calories you've consumed over the next 14 days, whether you're in a maintenance, a calorie surplus, or a calorie deficit, and it's much easier then to make a call on how many calories we should be eating going forward. So that would be my advice. And if you are going to get into a deficit, if you just really want to get stuck in and get a little bit of that weight lost, then just keep the deficit small. You can gradually increase it, but try not go in with these mad deficits like, that's it, I'm back in the gym now, I'm going to eat salad for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and I'm just not going to snack anymore, because we have been out of routine for so long that sometimes when we jump in too deep, we end up just failing really quickly. So make the deficit small and gradual, and we can build on it over time, but just get back into tracking, track maintenance, a little bit of a deficit if necessary, and just try to stick to it. And if you need help, obviously we are always available. All the coaches are available. We all have office hours now to sit down and do strategy sessions with you. So just reach out to us, and we would love to sit down, get an in-body with you, and just kind of give you a bit more of a goal or some habits to work on over the next few weeks. And the main thing with food, I suppose, and nutrition and all that kind of category is just to nail the basics. Sometimes we forget, we just jump in too deep and we forget to look at our sleep, our water intake, whether we're getting enough nutrients into the body, are we eating fruit and veg, are we getting enough protein, like all those things come before a calorie target. We've got to get the basics right. Otherwise, as I said, we just hit a wall and we end up kind of failing a little bit too early. So I would address sleep, just make sure you're getting a good kind of pre-bedtime routine, which we talked about in one of our previous podcasts. If you haven't listened to it, I would highly suggest it. And getting that nice bedtime routine before you go to sleep. Guzzle the water. It's the best way to just help the body reset, get rid of that bloat, get rid of that kind of sluggishness that we might be feeling after a few weeks of taking some time off our diet, our good healthy eating, and then just look at that protein intake. 9 times out of 10, any of you that have been working with us for a while and have been tracking your calories will know that when you just turn your focus to upping the protein in your diet, usually a lot of the other stuff takes care of itself. So if your carbohydrates are really high at the moment, or you've been drinking a lot of alcohol over the last few weeks, sometimes just increasing the protein will keep you full, it'll keep you satisfied, and those other things will start to just kind of level out themselves. So it's a nice thing to put your focus into first when you're looking at food. And then I guess the kind of third area to talk about today is mindset and just like our mental health, because I don't know about you guys, but this change from lockdown life to normal life, or whatever you might call it, is big. Like, it's a huge change, and everybody that I've talked to is finding it stressful, because it's like that anticipation of, oh my god, are we going to have to socialize again, are we going to have to be in big crowds? Like, it's all a little bit overwhelming for everybody, and I think what lockdown really forced us all to do was to take some time to kind of go inwards and check in with ourselves and make sure that we are okay, and if we're not, we've been kind of forced to find tools to cope, which might be walking more. I know a lot of people got into sea swimming way more over lockdown. I know lots of people took up reading. Just loads of really nice things came up through lockdown, and sometimes it's because we had more time to do it, and other times it's because we kind of needed to, because the mental health wasn't doing so well. But all of those things are really important, and they're also really good for you and for your mental health. And with this kind of change in Ireland and the world, we're seeing everybody kind of want to jump back into their old life of like making plans and getting back to the gym and just doing all the stuff that kind of keeps us busy. And even though that's amazing and it's definitely massively positive, we just don't want to lose sight of all those little things that we took the time to do. All those little things like self-care, reading, swimming. Try keep time for that. So let's not lose that nice quiet space we created for ourselves that we were kind of forced to create throughout lockdown. Let's try not lose that now that we go back into busy life. Exercise, socializing, they're all a really great way to distract and kind of numb any stress or pain that might be going on. So I think it's just really important now more than ever that we recognize that and we don't let ourselves burn out. We still make the time for that self-care, the time for yourself, whatever that is for you. We never know what is around the corner. I know we have just come out of the biggest hiccup I think we've ever seen as a country, and that is a pandemic. But there's always going to be more things around the corner. There's always going to be more stresses, more hiccups. It could be anything, job, family. There's always going to be hiccups. So it's just really important to recognize that you've learned tools and you've done things for yourself throughout this lockdown that can really help with that. So just to kind of be mindful that it's important to look after our bodies, our physical health, our physical strength, also our nutrition, and it's also really important to look after our mindset and our mental health. So this podcast is basically just to remind you guys of the basics, to remind you guys of what's important, and just going into this next new phase of life, and just to prioritize those things: your workouts, your nutrition, and your mental health. And as always, if you need any help with it, we are all here. This is what we do for a living. It's what we love to do. So just either give us an email and book in with us via the app, or if you're a non-member listening to this, if you've been following our podcast, first of all, thank you for following us. But also never be afraid to reach out if you want help with anything. We're always at the other end of an email to answer any questions you might have around these areas. So yeah, other than that, guys, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy first week back in the gym. It's literally, I was so nervous. I think I was so nervous before we kicked off, because like that I was like, oh my god, change, like I don't know what to expect. What if like my new quiet life suits me? What if like this busy new life is not going to go as well as I think it's going to go? And the opposite happened, which I'm delighted about. I've just been ecstatic all week. Anyone that's met me in the gym probably knows I haven't stopped talking, but it's just been so much fun. So I hope all of you guys have enjoyed being back. It's been great. So just going into the next phase now, let's be mindful of our actions, let's plan our month ahead, and let's get ready for a really, really fantastic summer. And I will catch you guys all on the next podcast.